I'm on 251, if you're following along. So I want to review something. It says that we're going to be multiplying fractions. 8/9 times 3/10. So 8/9 times 3/10. There was two ways to do this back in the day. And you had to do two things. The only difference is what order you did those two things. Who wrote this all crooked? 3/10. There was two things you had to do if you were going to work out this problem. The only difference in the way that you do it is what order you did the two things. So you have to multiply and then you have to reduce. So you can multiply first and then reduce your answer. If you multiply first, you do top times top and bottom times bottom. 8 times 3 is 24. 9 times 10 is 90. And then you'd have to simplify that. How would you simplify that? Well, I don't know what goes into both of those, but I know that they're evens. So I could divide both by a factor of 2. What would that be? 12 over 45? What goes into both of those? Maybe 3? Yes? So I could divide by a factor of 3 and divide by a factor of 3. What does that come out to be? 4/15? I don't think I can go any farther than that, right? So that's one way to do it. And for this way, we multiplied first and then we reduced. Well, the other way that you can do it is to reduce first and then multiply. When you reduced first, I think they called it cross-canceling, right? That's where, what did we do? We said, oh, look, there's a 3 and a 9 on top and bottom. Let's divide those both by 3. 3 goes in here once. 3 goes in there 3 times. We took out a factor of 3. Oh, look, up there we took out a factor of 3 also. What else can we do up here? Take out a factor of 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 goes in here 4 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Look, we took out a factor of 2. Just like we did up here, we took out a factor of 2. And once you reduced it, now you can multiply. What's 4 times 1? 4. And what's 3 times 5? 15. Look at that. We got the same exact answer, right? So does it matter to me which way you do it? No, I don't care. I would rather have you do it the way that makes sense to you, the way that's easiest for you. Because both answers, you're multiplying and reducing. The only difference is the order that you do it. Doesn't matter. But there's two ways to do it. So we're going to use that today to multiply things like this. 6x over y to the third times y squared over 15. So it's probably going to be easiest for you to reduce first and then multiply. So what would you do if you reduced it first? Well, you know how we took out a factor of 3 here? I have a 3 and a 9. Well, forget about all those letters. I have a 6 and a 15. I can still reduce that just like I did back over there. Divide by 3. I have a 6 on top and a 15 on bottom. Divide by 3, divide by 3. Remember, it doesn't matter if they're straight up and down or if they're across, as long as one's on top and one's on bottom. So what is 6 divided by 3? What is 15 divided by 3? What else can we do? Well, you see this y squared here? It's a y times a y. And you see this y to the third? Y times y times y. So do you see how we took out a factor of 3 right here? What can we do to the y's? We can cancel those, right? A y on top and a y on bottom. So this y right here, I can cancel with one of those. Does that make sense? And guess what else we can do? There's another y and another y we can cancel. So we're going to cancel what we can first and then multiply. Just be careful. Remember, we use these. I divided by 3. So what do I have left on top? A 2x, I think, right? And what do I have left on the bottom? I already used this. I wrote it down here. So what's left? Looks like that. Yes? Does that make sense? So we're going to cancel first and then multiply, because that's probably the easiest in this case. So how about something like 4x squared y, 4x squared y over, I probably forgot where it was, 4x squared y over 9xy times oh well, I guess I'll make it up myself. What can we do? Well, I advise do the numbers first and then take care of the letters. So I've got a 4 and a 6. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is, 6 divided by 2 is, hey, what is 3 over 3? I'm just going to cross those babies right off. Does that take care of the numbers? Can I do anything else? I don't think so, because I have a 2 here and a 9 here. The rest of the stuff crossed off. Good so far? Now the letters. What can we do with the letters? Well, I have a y over a y right here. Y over y is 1. Cross it off. What else? X over, this is an x squared though, right? So I can write it like this. And if you don't need to rewrite it, that's fine too. But one of these x's then will go with this one. One of the other x. Over here I have another x. So they don't have to be together, right? This x squared is 2 x's, x times x. One of them I can cancel here, and the other one I can cancel across, as long as it's top and bottom. And they don't all have to be together. Does that make sense? Anything else I can cancel? I don't think so, right? What do I have left on top then? So looks like 2y over just a 9, I think. Just a 9. When you're all done, go back and look carefully because a common mistake is to miss something. You know, there's something left and you miss it. So go back and look carefully. But does that make sense? Does that make sense? Canceling out factors, y's and y's, x's and x's. Anybody with questions so far? Oh, now look at this one. Remember when I said you're going to need to know how to factor? Here's another day when you need to know how to factor. Here's another day when you need to factor. Oh. So you can start thinking, how are we going to factor that? Well, should we start up here? Is there anything common to all those? No. So then the two parentheses, x squared, that's going to have to be x times x. Down here I have a 12. 1 and 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, and I need the combination that would subtract to 1. We assume there's a 1 there. What combination would subtract to 1? 3 and 4? Signs. It's negative. If it's a negative and we multiply these two and get a negative, that means we have to have one of each, right? The bigger one gets the negative, right? What about down here? What about down there? X in common, very good. They have an X in common, take it out. And then what's left? I had an X squared, I took 1 out, so 1 left. What's left here? 5. So really, I want to rewrite this. I have x plus 3, x minus 4, over x and x minus 5. I factored this, I factored this. So that's what it factors into. So far, so good? Here, we'll go down here. See that? I don't think that's going to factor. It's not a square. And it doesn't have anything in common, so we don't have to factor that one. What about the x squared minus 25? Anything in common? No. So x squared, x times x. What about 25? It's either 1 and 25 or 5 and 5. Which is it? There's no middle term. There's no middle term, so they have to subtract to 0. Is there a combination that subtracts to 0? Yes. And how do you get a negative? One of each. And it doesn't matter which is which, right? Because they're both the same. So the top thing factors into x minus 5 and x plus 5. So now, remember how we canceled a y with a y, an x with an x? Top and bottom? You can cancel top and bottom as long as they're the same. One on top, one on bottom. So you see this x plus 3? That goes with another x plus 3. What else can cancel? Anything else the same on top and bottom? Yes? Anything else? Can I cancel this x? Can I cancel that x? No. Why not? Because it's x take away something. In order to cancel, it's got to be x times something. Not x plus and not x minus. It's got to be x times in order to cancel. And this is x take away 4. So you may not cancel that. Does that make sense? So what do we have left? On top, look at all that. I have an x minus 4 and an x plus 5. On bottom, what do I have left on bottom? Looks like just that x. So right there, that's my answer. So really, when it says multiplying, we're not really doing a whole lot of multiplying. We're doing factoring and canceling, mostly. At the end, it's sort of multiply, but we don't actually have to multiply that out. So it's factoring and canceling. Does that make sense? Do you have questions? You guys are so quiet in the morning. I can't tell if you get it and you're bored, if you're tired, if you're breathing. Breathing? Oh, good. Clemic, are you breathing? Oof. Did you stay up late last night watching Congress? Certify the votes? You stayed up late playing video games. Oh, you were reading a good book. You just couldn't put it down. Maybe he was texting a girl. Well, that's about all I have to say today. Do you have any questions? Does it make sense? No questions? Nico, are you sleeping? Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Just tell her to leave me alone. Just tell her to leave me alone. I'm on page 253. Are you on 253? 253. Oh, let's go 5 to 15. 253. I'm going to switch it up from my book. Page 253. I have WE. We'll go 5 to 15. And then I have a couple others where you actually have to factor. 35, 36, and 40. 35, 36, and 40. Can I see that? All right. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4